day started like any other, with the sun rising over a world that had no idea what was about to happen. People were going about their usual routines, kids heading to school, adults commuting to work, and pets chasing after balls in backyards. The sky was clear, painted in soft hues of orange and pink as dawn gave way to morning. Everything seemed normal, but deep in space, something extraordinary was unfolding. Far beyond Earth's atmosphere, an alien fleet had been traveling for centuries, their massive ships gliding silently through the void. These weren't explorers or diplomats. They were conquerors, beings from a distant galaxy who saw humanity as nothing more than ants beneath their feet. On board the largest ship, the Ecliptica, Commander Vraxor stood on the observation deck, his sharp eyes scanning the blue planet below. To him, Earth was beautiful, yes, but also fragile. Its swirling clouds, vast oceans, and sprawling continents looked almost artistic from this distance. Yet beauty meant little when your mission was domination. Vraxor's species, known as the Zarnok, had spent millennia expanding their empire across galaxies, wiping out civilizations that dared oppose them. Now it was Earth's turn. Vraxor turned to his second-in-command, Zainara, whose metallic skin shimmered faintly under the dim lights of the command center. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered in a voice that echoed with authority. "We'll give them one chance to surrender before we proceed." Zainara nodded, her expression unreadable. She moved swiftly to relay the order, leaving Vraxor alone with his thoughts. He wasn't expecting much resistance. After all, the humans were primitive compared to the Zarnok. Their technology was laughable, their weapons pitiful. Still, there was always the possibility of surprise. Civilizations often found ways to fight back, even when hope seemed lost. It was a lesson Vraxor had learned the hard way during previous campaigns, but this time he thought things would be different. Humanity wouldn't stand a chance. Back on Earth, life continued blissfully unaware of the impending doom. In New York City, Sarah Chen, a linguistics professor at Columbia University, sipped her coffee while scrolling through emails on her phone. Her mind was preoccupied with upcoming lectures and research deadlines. Across the globe in Mumbai, Raj Patel, a software engineer, juggled debugging code and responding to client queries. Meanwhile, in a small town in Canada, Emily Carter, a high school student, doodled spaceships in the margins of her notebook, dreaming of adventures among the stars. None of them knew how close those dreams were to becoming reality, and not in the way they imagined. Suddenly, the skies above Earth began to change. A strange hum filled the air, low and resonant, vibrating through windows and rattling dishes. People paused mid-step, confused. What was happening? Then, without warning, the heavens seemed to split apart. A jagged crack appeared in the sky, stretching from horizon to horizon. At first, people thought it was some kind of natural phenomenon, a freak storm or atmospheric anomaly. But then they saw it. Hovering beyond the rift were enormous star destroyers, their sleek angular designs gleaming ominously in the sunlight. Panic erupted instantly. Cars screeched to a halt as drivers abandoned their vehicles to flee on foot. Parents grabbed their children and ran for cover, unsure where to go or what to do. Social media exploded with videos and photos of the alien fleet, each post accompanied by cries of terror. Governments scrambled to respond, issuing emergency alerts and deploying military forces. Fighter jets roared into the sky, circling helplessly around the gargantuan ships that dwarfed them entirely. Tanks rolled onto streets, guns aimed upward, though everyone knew conventional weapons would be useless against such advanced technology. In New York, Sarah stared up at the sky, her coffee forgotten on the table. Her heart raced as she watched. The alien vessels loom closer, their sheer size making her feel insignificant. Around her, people screamed and cried, collapsing to their knees in fear. Some prayed aloud, clutching rosaries or holy books. Others simply froze, unable to move or think clearly. The scene was chaos incarnate, but not everyone reacted with terror. Amidst the pandemonium, a few individuals stood firm, their faces etched with determination rather than despair. One of them was Marcus Kane, a burly mechanic from Chicago. Marcus had seen his share of tough situations, having served 2 tours in the Marines before settling into civilian life. When the sky tore open, he didn't run or hide. Instead, he grabbed a wrench from his toolbox and stepped outside, squinting at the alien armada above. "If they want to fight," he muttered under his breath, "they've got one." In Mumbai, Raj Patel sat frozen at his desk for only a moment before snapping into action. His logical mind refused to succumb to panic. Grabbing his laptop, he began analyzing the energy signatures emitted by the alien ships, searching for weaknesses or patterns. If anyone could decipher their technology, he believed it might be him. And in Canada, young Emily Carter clutched her sketchbook tightly, her wide eyes fixed on the spectacle above. For years she'd dreamed of meeting aliens, imagining peaceful exchanges and shared knowledge. Now that her dream had come true, albeit terrifyingly so, she refused to let fear take hold. "They're here," she whispered to herself. "This is real." These bold individuals weren't alone. Scattered across the globe, others like them emerged from the crowd. Ordinary men and women who chose defiance over despair. There was Dr. Elena Rodriguez, an astrophysicist based in Madrid, who immediately headed to her lab to study the rift in the sky. There was Ahmed Ali, a farmer in Egypt, who climbed atop his tractor and shouted curses at the invaders, refusing to bow down. Even children joined the ranks of the fearless, waving makeshift flags or banging pots and pans in protest. As the initial shock wore off, humanity began organizing itself, or at least attempting to. Governments convened emergency meetings, scientists pooled resources, and citizens formed impromptu groups to share information and ideas. Social media became a lifeline, connecting people worldwide as they exchanged theories, strategies, and words of encouragement. Memes and jokes popped up alongside serious discussions, a testament to humanity's resilience even in the face of annihilation. Yet despite these efforts, fear still dominated the global mood. Billions cowered indoors, convinced the end was near. Store shelves emptied within hours as people hoarded food and supplies. Churches, mosques, temples, and synagogues overflowed with worshippers seeking solace. Entire cities fell silent except for the occasional wail of sirens or distant explosion as panicked crowds clashed with authorities. High above, Commander Vraxur observed the chaos with detached curiosity. Through surveillance drones, he monitored humanity's reactions, cataloging every scream, prayer, and act of rebellion. The fear was expected, it always came first, but the defiance intrigued him. Why did some humans refuse to submit? What drove them to stand tall when logic dictated they should kneel? He ordered his crew to focus on these outliers, capturing footage and data for further analysis. Perhaps understanding their courage would provide insight into humanity's potential value, or lack thereof. For now, the Zarnok fleet remained stationary, content to watch and wait. They had no need to rush. Time was irrelevant to beings who lived for centuries. Let the humans exhaust themselves with panic and futile attempts at resistance. Eventually, they would realize the futility of fighting back. Or so Vraxur assumed. Unbeknownst to him, however, the seeds of defiance were spreading faster than anticipated. Small acts of bravery inspired larger ones, creating ripples of hope amidst the waves of despair. In New York, Sarah Chen joined forces with a group of linguists, brainstorming ways to communicate with the aliens. In Chicago, Marcus Kane rallied neighbors to fortify their community, turning garages into workshops where tools became makeshift weapons. And in Madrid, Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked tirelessly to decode the mysterious energy emanating from the rift, convinced it held the key to humanity's survival. Though the odds seemed insurmountable, these bold humans refused to give up. They understood the stakes, extinction versus salvation, but instead of shrinking away, they leaned into the challenge. For them, fear wasn't paralyzing, it was fuel. Each heartbeat pulsed with determination, each breath carried whispers of defiance. Against the backdrop of universal terror, their courage burned brightly, a beacon of hope in humanity's darkest hour. As the initial shock of the alien fleet's appearance began to settle, Humanity found itself at a crossroads. Fear still gripped the majority, but for those who refused to cower, the time for action had arrived. Among them was Dr. Elena Rodriguez, whose mind raced faster than ever before. Standing in her Madrid observatory, surrounded by blinking monitors and humming equipment, she stared at the data pouring in from telescopes trained on the alien ships. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, analyzing patterns, energy signatures, and anomalies that might hold answers to the invaders' intentions. Elena wasn't alone in her quest. Marcus Kane, the burly mechanic from Chicago, had driven his truck to the outskirts of the city, where he set up a makeshift command post with other locals. Tools and spare parts littered the ground as they worked together to modify old machinery into potential defenses. "If we're going down," Marcus growled, tightening bolts on what looked like a repurposed satellite dish, "we're taking some of them with us." His words carried weight, rallying others around him despite the overwhelming odds. Meanwhile, Sarah Chen in New York City led a team of linguists and cryptographers in an attempt to decode any signals emitted by the alien fleet. Using advanced algorithms and linguistic models, they sifted through hours of static-filled recordings, searching for patterns or messages hidden within the noise. Sarah's heart pounded with every discovery, no matter how small. "They didn't just show up without reason," she told her colleagues. "There has to be a way to talk to them." Across the globe, similar efforts sprang up spontaneously. In Mumbai, Raj Patel collaborated with fellow engineers to reverse engineer fragments of alien technology captured by reconnaissance drones. In Canada, Emily Carter drew inspiration from her sketches, proposing unconventional ideas about communication, using visual symbols rather than language. These individuals, though separated by geography, shared one common goal: finding a way to stand toe-to-toe with the invaders, or at least understand their purpose. But while humanity scrambled to prepare, Commander Vraxer and his crew aboard the Ecliptica continued their silent observation. The Zarnak commander paced the ship's bridge, reviewing footage of Earth's reactions. He watched as cities descended into chaos, governments faltered, and ordinary citizens banded together in acts of defiance. What puzzled him most were the pockets of resistance, those humans who refused to bow even when faced with extinction. Their boldness contradicted everything the Zarnak had learned about conquest during their centuries-long expansion. Vraxer summoned Zainara to discuss the situation. "Their behavior is unexpected," he admitted, his voice tinged with both frustration and curiosity. "Most civilizations collapse under fear. Why do these humans persist?" Zainara tilted her head thoughtfully. "Perhaps it is not fear that defines them," she suggested. "Fear exists among all species, but courage, that is rare. It seems these humans value something greater than survival itself." Her words struck a chord with Vraxer. Courage was a concept the Zarnak understood, intellectually but rarely encountered in practice. Most species they encountered either submitted outright or fought futile battles before being annihilated. Humanity, however, defied categorization. They adapted quickly, innovating solutions and forming alliances despite their apparent lack of central leadership. This decentralized approach intrigued Vraxer. It made humanity unpredictable, and unpredictability was dangerous. Determined to learn more, Vraxer ordered his reconnaissance drones to focus on the defiant groups. Through high-resolution cameras and advanced sensors, the Zarnak gathered detailed information about Elena's research, Marcus's improvised defenses, and Sarah's attempts at communication. The data revealed something startling. These humans weren't acting out of blind arrogance. They were driven by hope, creativity, and an unyielding belief in their ability to overcome adversity. Back on Earth, Elena's team made a breakthrough. Buried within the energy readings from the alien ships was a faint repeating pattern, a sequence of pulses that resembled Morse code. At first glance, it seemed random, but upon closer inspection, the pattern matched mathematical constants, like pi and prime numbers. "They're trying to communicate," Elena exclaimed, her eyes lighting up with excitement. "It's subtle, but it's there." Her discovery sparked a flurry of activity. If the aliens were attempting contact, then humanity had a chance, not just to survive but to prove its worth. Working tirelessly, Elena's team devised a response, a series of mathematical equations and universal truths broadcast via radio waves. The message was simple yet profound, conveying humanity's understanding of the cosmos and its desire for peaceful coexistence. In Chicago, Marcus heard about Elena's plan and decided to amplify it. Rallying his neighbors, he constructed massive LED arrays powered by generators spelling out basic geometric shapes visible from space. "If they can see our buildings, they can see this," he said confidently. Across continents, others followed suit, creating synchronized displays of light and sound designed to catch the aliens' attention. Sarah's team took a different approach. Realizing that language barriers might hinder direct communication, they focused on emotions instead. Using brainwave mapping technology, they recorded human feelings, hope, determination, love, and encoded them into a signal transmitted alongside Elena's mathematical message. The idea was risky, almost poetic. If logic failed, perhaps emotion could bridge the gap. As night fell over Earth, the combined efforts of humanity came to life. Cities dimmed their lights, allowing the glowing symbols and pulsating signals to shine brightly against the darkened sky. From space, the effect was mesmerizing. Patterns danced across continents, accompanied by rhythmic bursts of light and sound. Even the most cynical observer couldn't deny the beauty of it, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. On board the Ecliptica, Vraxor watched the spectacle unfold with growing unease. The visuals were impressive, yes, but it was the underlying message that unsettled him. Humanity wasn't merely showcasing intelligence, they were revealing vulnerability. The emotions embedded in their transmissions resonated deeply, evoking memories of a time when the Zarnok themselves had been explorers rather than conquerors. "What are they trying to tell us?" Vraxor murmured, leaning forward in his seat. Zainara studied the incoming data, her expression unreadable. "I believe they are saying, we are here, we exist, and we will not be erased." The realization hit Vraxor like a thunderclap. For centuries, the Zarnok had viewed other species as obstacles to be removed, resources to be harvested. But humanity challenged that perspective. Their courage, creativity, and capacity for unity suggested they were more than mere pests. They were equals. Still, doubt lingered. Could trust be established between two such vastly different species? Or would humanity's defiance eventually lead to conflict? Vraxor wrestled with these questions, knowing the decision he made next would shape not only Earth's fate, but also the future of the Zarnok Empire. While Vraxor deliberated, humanity pressed forward. Encouraged by the success of their initial efforts, people worldwide began organizing larger-scale demonstrations of defiance. In Paris, thousands gathered beneath the Eiffel Tower, holding candles aloft in silent protest. In Tokyo, musicians performed symphonies blending traditional instruments with modern beats, their melodies echoing into the heavens. Even remote villages joined in, lighting bonfires and chanting prayers in solidarity with the global movement. For the first time in history, humanity stood united, not through force or coercion, but through shared purpose. Each act of bravery inspired another, creating a chain reaction of hope that transcended borders, languages, and cultures. Though fear still lingered in the shadows, it no longer held sway. Instead, it fueled determination, driving people to push beyond their limits and embrace the unknown. High above, the alien fleet remained silent, their weapons inactive. Yet their presence loomed large, a reminder of the stakes involved. Would humanity's boldness win them favor or condemnation? Only time would tell. But for now, amidst the uncertainty, one truth shone brightly. Fear may have cowed many, but courage defined humanity. And courage, it seemed, was a language even the stars could understand. The alien fleet remained suspended in Earth's atmosphere, their star destroyers casting long shadows over cities and oceans. For days, they had observed humanity's frantic attempts at communication and resistance without responding. Their silence was deafening, a void that gnawed at the nerves of even the boldest individuals on Earth. Yet, despite the lack of acknowledgement, humanity refused to give up. Each passing hour brought new ideas, new strategies, and renewed determination. The rift in the sky still glowed faintly, an eerie reminder of how suddenly life as everyone knew it had changed. In Madrid, Dr. Elena Rodriguez barely slept. Her observatory buzzed with activity as she coordinated with scientists worldwide to refine their transmissions. After decoding the mathematical patterns emitted by the alien ships, her team had sent multiple signals into space, hoping for some form of reply. But so far there was nothing. No response, no sign that the aliens understood or cared about humanity's efforts. Frustration simmered beneath Elena's calm exterior. "We're missing something," she muttered one evening, staring at rows of data scrolling across her screen. "They're watching us, studying us like lab rats. If we don't figure out what they want, we'll never know if our messages are reaching them." Her assistant, a young physicist named Carlos, leaned forward. "What if it's not just about logic?" he suggested hesitantly. "You said earlier that emotions might matter too. Maybe we need to show them more than equations. We need to show them who we are." Elena paused, considering his words. It wasn't the first time someone had proposed focusing on emotion rather than intellect, but the idea carried risks. Emotions were deeply personal, subjective. Could they truly convey such complexity to beings whose psychology remained a mystery? Still, desperation drove innovation. That night, Elena instructed her team to incorporate visual storytelling into their broadcasts using satellite imagery and animation software. They created short clips depicting human milestones: the invention of fire, the construction of pyramids, the moon landing, artistic masterpieces, acts of kindness. Every frame was designed to highlight humanity's resilience, creativity, and capacity for connection. Meanwhile, Marcus Kane and his crew in Chicago continued fortifying their makeshift defenses. Though the alien fleet hadn't launched an attack yet, Marcus refused to lower his guard. He spent hours welding scrap metal into crude barriers and modifying old machinery into potential weapons. His workshop became a hub of activity, drawing volunteers from all walks of life. Among them was Lisa Harper, a retired schoolteacher who insisted on documenting every step of their progress. Armed with a camera and notebook, she captured interviews, sketches, and photographs, creating a record of humanity's defiance. "History will remember this moment," she told Marcus when he questioned her obsession with documentation. "And I intend to make sure it remembers us accurately." Lisa's words resonated with many. Across the globe, people began sharing their own stories through social media, art installations, and public performances. In Tokyo, dancers choreographed routines symbolizing unity and hope, streaming live videos to millions of viewers. In Nairobi, poets recited verses celebrating humanity's diversity and strength. Even children joined in, painting murals of stars and planets alongside messages pleading for peace. These acts weren't just expressions of fearlessness, they were declarations of identity, affirmations of what it meant to be human. Sarah Chen and her linguistics team in New York worked tirelessly to analyze any signals intercepted from the alien fleet. Despite their earlier breakthroughs, progress had stalled. The aliens' transmissions remained enigmatic, filled with complex patterns that defied easy interpretation. Frustrated but undeterred, Sarah shifted her focus to decoding the cultural context behind the symbols. She pored over ancient texts, comparing alien glyphs to hieroglyphics, cuneiform, and other early writing systems. Slowly, connections began to emerge. Certain shapes repeated consistently, suggesting themes of hierarchy, order, and perhaps even morality. One evening, while reviewing footage of the alien ships, Sarah noticed something peculiar. Zooming in on the hull of the largest destroyer, she spotted intricate carvings etched into its surface. At first glance, they appeared decorative, but closer inspection revealed recurring motifs: spirals, triangles, and concentric circles arranged in precise configurations. "These aren't random designs," Sarah whispered, excitement bubbling within her. "They're telling a story. She shared her findings with Elena, who immediately recognized the significance. The carvings bore striking similarities to geometric patterns found in crop circles and sacred geometry throughout human history. Could these markings represent a universal language, one that transcended spoken words? If so, humanity might have stumbled upon a key to bridging the gap between species. As the days stretched into weeks, Commander Vraxor grew increasingly conflicted. On board the Ecliptica, he reviewed countless reports detailing humanity's actions. Their courage continued to perplex him. Instead of surrendering or devolving into chaos, humans adapted, innovated, and persisted. They sent signals, built defenses, and expressed themselves through art and emotion. No conquered civilization had ever responded this way before. Why did these fragile creatures refuse to accept their fate? Zainara offered insight during one of their strategy meetings. Perhaps courage isn't born from strength alone, she mused. It may stem from a belief in something greater, a purpose worth fighting for. Vraxor nodded thoughtfully. Purpose. That word lingered in his mind as he replayed footage of Earth's synchronized displays. Cities dimmed their lights to create vast canvases illuminated by laser projections. Music filled the air, blending classical symphonies with indigenous chants. Even in the darkest moments, humanity found ways to celebrate beauty and meaning. Such behavior contradicted everything the Zarnok valued: efficiency, control, dominance. But then again, perhaps humanity's unpredictability was precisely why they intrigued him. Unlike other species, which relied on rigid hierarchies and centralized leadership, humans thrived through decentralized cooperation. Families, communities, nations, all working together without a single point of failure. This resilience made them dangerous opponents and potentially valuable allies. Still, Vraxor couldn't ignore protocol. Conquest missions required swift resolution, leaving little room for nuance. To delay further risked undermining his authority or, worse, inviting scrutiny from higher-ranking officials back home. Yet deep down he felt compelled to explore alternative paths. Perhaps coexistence was possible, or perhaps subjugation remained inevitable. Either way, he needed clarity. To test humanity's resolve, Vraxor ordered a reconnaissance drone to descend closer to Earth's surface. Its mission was simple: observe and report. As the sleek craft entered the atmosphere, it emitted a low hum audible to anyone nearby. Below, Marcus Kane heard the sound and immediately grabbed his binoculars. Spotting the drone hovering above a nearby field, he motioned for his team to follow. "Let's see what this thing wants," he growled, gripping a modified flamethrower tightly. When they arrived, the drone projected a holographic image, a towering figure resembling the Zarnok themselves. Its angular features gleamed faintly under the sunlight, and its glowing eyes seemed to pierce straight through Marcus. Without warning, a voice echoed directly in their minds, bypassing language entirely. "Why do you resist?" Marcus froze, stunned by the intrusion. Recovering quickly, he stepped forward, meeting the hologram's gaze head-on. "Because we choose to," he replied firmly, projecting his thoughts outward. Whether the entity understood him or not, Marcus didn't care. Humanity's message was clear. They wouldn't go quietly. Back on board the Ecliptica, Vraxor listened intently to the exchange. The human's response intrigued him: choice, courage, defiance. These concepts were foreign yet compelling. Perhaps humanity deserved more than annihilation. Perhaps they deserved a chance to prove themselves. As the hologram vanished, leaving Marcus and his team staring upward in awe, Vraxor made his decision. He turned to Zainara, his expression resolute. "Prepare the fleet for withdrawal," commanded. "But send a final message. Let them know we'll return, and next time they'd better be ready." For now, humanity had earned a reprieve. But the question lingered. Would their courage sustain them when the aliens came back? Only time would tell. The alien fleet began to ascend, their massive star destroyers retracting into the shimmering rift that had torn open Earth's sky. The hum of their engines faded, leaving behind an eerie silence that settled over the planet like a heavy blanket. For the first time in weeks, humanity could breathe, though not without lingering tension. The invaders were gone, but they had made one thing abundantly clear. This wasn't the end. They would return, and when they did, humanity needed to be ready. In Madrid, Dr. Elena Rodriguez stared at the now empty patch of sky where the alien ships had hovered just moments ago. Her hands trembled slightly as she leaned against her desk, exhaustion finally catching up with her. She had spent sleepless nights decoding signals, crafting messages, and coordinating efforts with scientists worldwide. Now, with the immediate threat gone, a wave of relief washed over her, but it was short-lived. The alien's parting words echoed in her mind. "We'll return, and next time, you'd better be ready." Elena knew those words carried weight. Humanity had been spared for now, but survival depended on preparation. Turning to her team, she said firmly, "This isn't over. If anything, it's only beginning. We need to learn everything we can about them before they come back." Her team nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting a mix of determination and fatigue. Over the next few days, they shifted their focus from communication to analysis. Using data collected during the encounter, they studied every detail of the alien fleet, their energy signatures, ship designs, and even the holographic projection that had spoken to Marcus Kane. Patterns emerged, revealing subtle clues about the Zarnok's technology and intentions. One discovery stood out. The geometric carvings etched into the hulls of the star destroyers weren't mere decorations. They were a form of storytelling, chronicling the Zarnok's history through symbols and shapes. Carlos, Elena's assistant, pointed to a recurring spiral motif in the carvings. "This keeps appearing alongside depictions of conquest," he explained, tracing the pattern on his tablet. "It might represent evolution or dominance, maybe both." Elena frowned thoughtfully. If these carvings are their version of history, then understanding them could give us insight into how they think. Maybe we can predict what they'll do next. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Marcus Kane stood amidst the remnants of his makeshift defenses, staring at the horizon where the last alien ship had disappeared. His heart still raced from the confrontation with the hologram, its glowing eyes seared into his memory. Though he had faced countless dangers during his time in the Marines, nothing compared to the sheer scale of what he'd witnessed. Yet, for all its terror, the experience left him oddly invigorated. Humanity had stared annihilation in the face and refused to blink. That realization fueled his resolve. "All right, listen up," Marcus barked, addressing the group of volunteers gathered around him. "They're gone for now, but mark my words, they'll be back. And when they do, we won't just sit here waiting to get wiped out. We prepare, we adapt, we fight smarter, not harder." His words ignited a spark among the crowd. People nodded eagerly, ready to follow his lead. Over the coming weeks, Marcus transformed his workshop into a hub of innovation. With help from engineers, mechanics, and tech enthusiasts, they reverse-engineered fragments of alien technology recovered from drone crashes. These scraps of advanced machinery became blueprints for new tools and weapons designed to level the playing field. Each breakthrough brought hope, proving that humanity's ingenuity could rival even the most sophisticated alien tech. In New York City, Sarah Chen and her linguistics team delved deeper into the cultural implications of the Zarnok's symbols. By cross-referencing the alien glyphs with ancient human artifacts, they uncovered startling parallels. The spirals, triangles, and concentric circles mirrored designs found in sacred geometry across civilizations, from Mayan temples to Islamic mosaics. This suggested a universal language rooted in mathematics and art, transcending spoken words. Sarah shared her findings with Elena, who immediately recognized their significance. "If these symbols are universal, then maybe we can use them to communicate more effectively," Elena proposed. "Instead of relying solely on equations or emotions, we combine logic and creativity. Show them we understand their language, not just scientifically, but culturally." Inspired by this idea, Sarah collaborated with artists and musicians to create a multimedia message blending visual storytelling with auditory elements. The result was breathtaking, a symphony of light, sound, and symbolism encoded with humanity's essence. When played back, the message felt alive, pulsing with emotion and intelligence. It was a declaration of humanity's worth, a plea for coexistence rather than conflict. High above Earth aboard the retreating Ecliptica, Commander Vraxor reviewed footage of humanity's final display. Despite his outward composure, he couldn't deny the impact it had on him. The synchronized light shows, the harmonized music, the intricate messages, all spoke of a species capable of unity despite diversity. Their courage and creativity challenged everything he believed about conquest. Zainara joined him on the observation deck, her metallic skin reflecting the glow of distant stars. "What will you report to the council?" she asked softly. Vraxor hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "That Earth poses a unique challenge. Their defiance is admirable, but it makes them unpredictable. Extermination may achieve our goals, but it risks creating martyrs, legends that inspire future resistance." Zainara tilted her head, considering. Then perhaps annihilation isn't the answer. Perhaps integration is possible. Her suggestion hung in the air, unspoken yet profound. Integration implied coexistence, mutual respect, even partnership. Such concepts were foreign to the Zarnok Empire, built on centuries of domination. Yet Vraxor couldn't ignore the potential benefits. Humanity's resourcefulness and resilience could prove invaluable allies, or formidable enemies. Back on Earth, humanity continued to rally. Governments convened global summits, pooling resources and expertise to develop strategies for the inevitable return of the Zarnok. Scientists, engineers, artists, and ordinary citizens worked side by side, united by a shared purpose. Social media buzzed with stories of heroism and innovation, inspiring millions to contribute in whatever way they could. From classrooms to boardrooms, people embraced the mantra, "Fear doesn't define us, courage does." As weeks turned into months, humanity's preparations bore fruit. Advanced radar systems monitored the skies for signs of the rift reopening. Underground bunkers equipped with cutting-edge technology served as command centers. Educational programs taught civilians basic survival skills and emergency protocols. Even children participated, organizing drills and creating artwork symbolizing hope and resilience. Yet, amid the flurry of activity, questions lingered. Why had the Zarnok spared Earth? What did they truly want? Some speculated they sought resources. Others believed they aimed to assimilate humanity into their empire. Whatever the reason, one truth remained undeniable. Humanity had proven itself worthy of attention, if not respect. On a chilly autumn evening, Elena stood on the rooftop of her observatory, gazing at the stars. Beside her, Carlos held a clipboard, filled with notes from their latest research. "Do you think we'll ever fully understand them?" he asked quietly. Elena smiled faintly. "Maybe not completely, but I believe we've already shown them something important. That fear isn't the only thing that drives us. Hope, creativity, empathy, they're just as powerful." Below, cities twinkled like constellations, a testament to humanity's enduring spirit. Though uncertainty loomed large, the world felt different now, stronger, braver, more united. Fear had once ruled the hearts of billions, but courage had taken its place. And as long as that courage burned bright, humanity stood a fighting chance against whatever the stars might bring. For now, the skies remained silent. But everyone knew the calm wouldn't last forever. When the Zarnok returned, they would find a changed world, one that refused to bow no matter the odds. Months passed since the alien fleet had departed, leaving Earth suspended in a fragile peace. The skies remained quiet, but humanity didn't dare relax. Every sunrise brought renewed determination to prepare for the inevitable return of the Zarnok. Across the globe, communities transformed into hubs of innovation and resilience. What had once been panic gave way to purpose. a collective drive to ensure that when the invaders came back, humanity would be ready not just to resist, but to thrive. In Madrid, Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the forefront of this effort. Her observatory buzzed with activity as scientists from various disciplines collaborated to decode every fragment of information about the Zarnak. Data from intercepted signals, geometric carvings on alien ships, and even emotional transmissions were meticulously analyzed. Each discovery added another piece to the puzzle, painting a clearer picture of their mysterious adversaries. One breakthrough came unexpectedly late one night. Carlos, Elena's assistant, noticed something peculiar while reviewing energy signatures emitted by the alien fleet before their departure. Hidden within the patterns was a faint rhythm, a pulsating sequence that matched Earth's natural frequencies, particularly those associated with tectonic activity. "It's like they're mapping our planet," Carlos exclaimed, his voice tinged with awe. "Not just surface features, but geological weaknesses too." Elena's eyes widened as she processed the implications. If the Zarnak intended to exploit Earth's vulnerabilities, humanity needed to shore up its defenses, not just militarily, but environmentally. She immediately alerted global leaders, urging them to fortify fault lines, stabilize coastlines, and protect critical ecosystems. "If we can anticipate their moves," she explained during an emergency summit, "we might turn their strategies against them." The response was swift. Engineers worked tirelessly to reinforce infrastructure near seismic zones, while environmentalists launched initiatives to restore damaged habitats. Even ordinary citizens pitched in, planting trees, cleaning rivers, and raising awareness about sustainability. Humanity realized that survival wasn't just about outsmarting invaders, it was about safeguarding the planet itself. Meanwhile, Marcus Kane's workshop in Chicago became a symbol of grassroots ingenuity. His team had successfully reverse-engineered fragments of alien technology, creating prototypes of advanced tools and weapons. Among their creations was a portable EMP device capable of disabling electronic systems within a small radius. Though rudimentary compared to the Zarnak's arsenal, it represented hope that human creativity could bridge the technological gap. But Marcus knew firepower alone wouldn't guarantee victory. Inspired by Sarah Chen's multimedia message, he proposed combining art and science to create a new form of defense: holographic decoys. These projections would mimic human settlements, drawing enemy fire away from real targets. Working with artists and programmers, his team designed lifelike simulations complete with moving figures, glowing lights, and ambient sounds. When activated, the decoys looked indistinguishable from actual cities viewed from above. "Let's give them something pretty to shoot at," Marcus joked grimly, though his expression betrayed deep seriousness. The decoys weren't meant to fool the Zarnak permanently, but to buy time for humanity to strike back or negotiate. Sarah Chen's contributions continued to inspire as well. In New York City, her linguistics team expanded their focus beyond decoding symbols to exploring cultural diplomacy. They theorized that understanding the Zarnak's values and motivations could pave the way for peaceful coexistence. Using insights gleaned from the aliens' carvings and transmissions, they crafted a comprehensive dossier outlining potential negotiation tactics. One revelation stood out. The recurring spiral motif often appeared alongside depictions of unity and order. To the Zarnak, these concepts seemed inseparable from conquest. Perhaps, Sarah reasoned, humanity could appeal to their desire for harmony rather than dominance. By presenting themselves as partners rather than rivals, humans might convince the invaders that cooperation benefited everyone. Her proposal gained traction globally. Governments invested heavily in diplomatic training programs, teaching negotiators how to communicate effectively without relying on language. Artists created visual representations of shared goals, images of stars aligning, planets orbiting, in balance, hands reaching across divides. These visuals, coupled with carefully encoded emotional signals, formed the basis of humanity's next message to the stars. As preparations intensified, Commander Vraxor aboard the Ecliptica grappled with conflicting emotions. Reports from reconnaissance drones confirmed that humanity hadn't wasted the reprieve granted to them. Cities fortified, technology advanced, and morale soared. Instead of crumbling under fear, humans embraced uncertainty, channeling it into progress. Their adaptability fascinated and unnerved him. Zinara joined him on the observation deck, her metallic skin glinting softly under artificial light. "They've exceeded expectations," she remarked, studying updated surveillance footage. "Their growth is exponential." Vraxor nodded slowly, "which complicates things. If they continue at this rate, they may surpass us in certain areas. Do we risk losing control, or do we find a way to integrate them?" Zinara's gaze sharpened. "Integration requires trust. Can you trust them?" He hesitated, recalling the courage displayed by individuals like Marcus Kane and Dr. Elena Rodriguez. Trust wasn't easily earned, especially between vastly different species. Yet humanity's resilience suggested they were capable of more than blind obedience. Perhaps, Vraxor mused, integration could work, if approached carefully. Back on Earth, anticipation grew palpable. People marked calendars, tracking days until the predicted return of the rift in the sky. Schools incorporated lessons about alien encounters into curricula, ensuring future generations understood the stakes. Memorials honored those who had lost their lives during the initial invasion, serving as reminders of humanity's fragility and strength. Then, one crisp morning, the skies split open once more. The rift reappeared, larger and more radiant than before. From it emerged the familiar silhouette of the Zarnok fleet, their star destroyers casting ominous shadows over continents below. Panic rippled briefly through cities, but it was quickly replaced by resolve. Humanity had spent months preparing for this moment, and now they would face it head-on. Commander Vraxor addressed Earth telepathically, his voice resonating in minds worldwide. "You have proven yourselves worthy of notice," he declared. "Your courage, creativity, and capacity for unity are unmatched. We offer you a choice: join us as equals, or face annihilation." Silence followed his words, heavy with tension. Then from Madrid, Elena stepped forward, broadcasting her thoughts outward. "We choose neither submission nor destruction," she replied firmly. "We seek partnership, not domination." Her message echoed across the globe, amplified by synchronized displays of light, sound, and emotion. Cities illuminated with holograms, depicting humanity's achievements and aspirations. Music swelled, blending ancient melodies with futuristic beats. Emotional signals pulsed through space, conveying hope, determination, and empathy. For a long moment, the Zarnok fleet hovered, silently. Then slowly, the largest destroyer descended, projecting a hologram of Commander Vraxor himself. His angular features softened slightly as he observed the spectacle below. "Perhaps integration is possible after all," he admitted, his mental voice carrying a hint of admiration. "Show us your worth, humans. Prove that coexistence benefits both our species." Cheers erupted around the world as humanity celebrated not just survival, but a chance at true understanding. The road ahead would be challenging, fraught with uncertainties and compromises. But for the first time, there was hope, not born of fear, but of courage, creativity, and unity. As the alien fleet withdrew once more, leaving behind promises of collaboration rather than conflict, humanity stood united beneath the stars. The rift closed, sealing off the heavens temporarily. Yet everyone knew the connection forged between Earth and the cosmos would endure. Fear no longer ruled their hearts. Instead, boldness defined them. And in that boldness lay the promise of a brighter future, for humanity, for the Zarnok, and perhaps for all life among the stars.